Greetings, fellow classic TV fans. Did you ever notice in the classic TV era it was sometimes acceptable for them to use multiple actors to play the same character? This was easy when the star of the show was an animal. For example, Flipper had 3 different dolphins. Mr. Ed had a stunt horse, and Lassie had 4 different collies. When they did this with a human, it was a lot more obvious. The most famous example of these would be Dick Sargent taking over for Dick York as the part of Darren in Bewitched. Another example was the Partridge Family that used 2 different actors for the role of Chris. I can think of another show that actually used 3 different actors for the same role. Know which one it is? We'll talk about it tomorrow. Greetings, fellow classic TV fans. So which classic TV show used 3 different actresses for the same part? It was the Munsters. For Marilyn Munster #1, they used Beverly Owen. Then came the ever-popular Pat Priest. In the feature film Munster Go Home, they cast yet a 3rd Marilyn named Debbie Watson. An interesting tidbit from that movie was that her love interest was Robert Pine, who you might remember from Chips. He's also the father of Chris Pine. Speaking of the Munsters, Butch Patrick, who played Eddie Munster, will be appearing this coming weekend, September 8th and 9th, in Manchester, New Hampshire at the Granite State Comic-Con. If you're in the area, you can go meet him. Greetings, fellow classic TV fans. You all remember the Bonanza theme, right? After all, it was one of the most popular TV theme songs ever written. As a matter of fact, the Western Writers of America chose it as one of the top 100 Western songs ever written. It is amazing that it only took a single day for Jay Livingston and Ray Evans to write. Used on the show as an instrumental, it actually had lyrics. And as a matter of fact, at the end of the pilot episode, they had the Cartwrights sing the song.
I've got a flair for women everywhere. Bonanza! Bonanza!
Well, 3 out of the 4 Cartwrights, as a matter of fact, one of them held out, and that was Pernell Roberts, the only pro singer of them all. Maybe he foresaw that the producers weren't going to use it because it was way too campy for the show.
Bonanza! Bonanza!
However, the song did hold its own and was remade by some notable artists. For example, Nelson Riddle, Lauren Green did his own version, and Johnny Cash, who rewrote the lyrics but still mentioned the Cartwrights and the Ponderosa. Greetings, fellow classic TV fans. Dawn Wells, who played Marianne on Gilligan's Island, has been trending in the news lately. She suffered a broken knee, which put her in the hospital for a lengthy and expensive stay, which in turn put her on some tough financial times. Unbeknownst to Dawn, a good friend of hers named Doug Kirkpatrick opened up a GoFundMe account on her behalf. Although she claims to be a bit angry and embarrassed by this, she was deeply touched by the huge outpouring of love and charity. And what a classic example of love and generosity towards one of our most valued classic TV icons. Over 4,500 people, including myself, have helped to raise $167,000 of the $180,000 goal. And this in just 10 days. If you'd like to help contribute to Dawn's situation, please just click the link below and show her some love. Greetings, fellow classic TV fans. In case you hadn't heard, Bill Daly, the great comedic television actor, passed away last week at the ripe old age of 91. He, of course, played Major Healy, Tony's friend, who was always trying to convince Jeannie that he too was worthy of some wishes. Initially, Daly tried his hand as a professional musician, playing upright bass in several jazz bands. After a stint in the Army, he then turned to stand-up comedy. Soon, Daly's guest appearances on early TV shows like Bewitched got him noticed by producer Sidney Sheldon. This resulted in him landing his legendary role on I Dream of Jeannie. 2 years after it was canceled, Daly landed another role on another big TV hit called The Bob Newhart Show. After Newhart, Bill went back to the stand-up comedy circuit. During this time, he would often appear on the comedic game show Match Game. Daly continued his TV co-star appearances all throughout the 1980s and 90s, appearing on shows like Love Boat, Chips, Alf, the list goes on. And so we bid happy trails to this American comedic icon. Greetings, fellow classic TV fans. Have you ever heard of the voice actor Paul Frees? Well, if you haven't heard of him, you most likely have heard him. With literally hundreds of voice acting credits, Paul was known in the business as the man of 1,000 voices. Boris Badenov from the Rocky and Bullwinkle Show was just one of his many memorable characters. He would sometimes appear in live-action films as either a radio or TV host. How can that be hard to say? You'll hear Paul's voice on many of the Rankin and Bass holiday specials, as well as many Hanna-Barbera cartoons. And to this very day, millions of people have heard his most famed voiceovers, where? At Disneyland. Paul is the voice of the ghost host at the Haunted Mansion. He's also the talking head on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride that says, "Dead men tell no tales." Paul left us with a truly remarkable body of work.